There is currently an offer on the table for millions of federal workers to consider exiting the federal workforce a little bit earlier than perhaps they expected. With the deadline of February 6th for millions to decide, we knew that it was important to get information out to the federal workforce as quickly as possible. So today we're going to be talking all about the 10 things you need to ask your agency's HR department before you accept that resignation. Hey there, I'm Kowalik of ProFeds, and welcome to the Fed Impact Podcast, where we offer candid insights on your federal retirement. So if you are new to the show, welcome. We are happy to have you. We, of course, have quite a number of new folks joining us because everyone's trying to figure out the details of this offer and what to do. There are tens of thousands of employees every year who come through our retirement training, and so many of them are reaching out with great questions that they have, and they're sharing this message with their friends as well. So no doubt the sense of urgency amongst the federal workforce is definitely rising with respect to preparing for retirement. Today's episode is part of a series that we're putting together to try to get as much information in the hands of federal employees who are considering making this offer as possible. So be sure to check out the other sessions in this series because I think you'll find exactly what you're looking for. And of course, if you like what you're hearing today, perhaps not the message itself, but the manner in which we're delivering it, I hope that you'll subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. Okay? So if you're taking this resignation, I hope that you've done your homework to be able to look at the scenario that you are really in and what's going to happen after the resignation period. I'm going to assume in this particular episode that you've gone through those steps to know your numbers and what you can expect on the other side of September 30th. So for today, we're going to focus on really three categories of the types of questions that you're going to be asking of your HR department. The first is what documents you need to get. Next is actions that need to be taken and the expectations that you can have during this resignation period. So let's jump into the top 10 questions to ask your agency's HR department. Number one, let's make sure that you're not on the excluded list. There are certain positions that will not be included in this offer. Unfortunately, the offer itself wasn't terribly clear for a lot of people. They gave some broad brush exclusions, but even people who squarely fall in those categories are still wondering, am I included in that exclusion, meaning you can't participate in the resignation? So you want to double check that there's no additional guidance coming down from your agency that in fact you are not permitted to take this resignation. The second thing is, what are the expectations that they have of you with respect to your workload and the timing of any transition? Okay, so it is not unusual when someone is transferring to a different job that there is a transfer of function to someone else in the office. So someone's going to need to be doing that work. It's just not going to be you. But this is a really unusual situation where the expectation is now that no work is expected from the time of the resignation forward. Is that a realistic expectation that your agency has given the kind of work that you do? I think it's fair to say that we probably care about our coworkers and we're not looking to dump a lot of things on them, but at the same time, you want to have an idea of what that timing is really going to look like. Number three, do you get to keep your government computer up until September 30th? Okay, this question kind of goes into the next question, which is, how am I supposed to communicate with my agency if I don't have a government computer and I don't have access to government email? For instance, if you are still planning to retire, perhaps you're eligible in that respect, how is it that you're supposed to access your system? That your agency likely gives you a system to be able to log in and access a wide variety of different things, but how do you do that if you don't have access to your email for two-factor authentication, all of that good stuff? So there's a lot that goes into the behind the scenes, what do I do now kind of scenario. Okay, so definitely ask that question. Next, kind of leading into that, number 5 is time cards. What is the expectation that the agency has on you with respect to completing a time card? Again, if you don't have your government computer and you don't have government email, how is it that you are supposed to access this time card to be able to make that happen? Okay. There certainly may be expectations that the agency have to complete time cards, and others, I'm sure, will say this is an extraordinary situation and we are simply not going to require them since you're going to be in that administrative leave status. Okay, but check with your agency to make sure that you know. Number 6, download a copy of your electronic official personnel file. And the question to HR is, if you don't know where to get this, ask them. Most agencies grant access to their employees to be able to access the types of accounts like this with respect to being able to download your EOPF. Very, very important that you get a copy of this, because once you are out of these government systems and you no longer have access through your email and the systems themselves, you will not have access to your electronic official personnel file. So this is where your entire service history lives. So very, very important you have a copy of this. Go ahead. I would encourage everyone, even if you're not doing the resignation right now, go ahead and download a copy so at least you have all the historical data. And of course, if you decide to stay on another year or 2 or 10, you're able to download additional copies in the future. Okay. Number 7, request an estimate from your agency. Now, most agencies have an automated estimation process, meaning that there's a self-service function within the portal that your agency grants you access to be able to run your own estimates based on different retirement dates. So I would encourage you to go in and see what your agency thinks that your pension is going to be and all of the benefits that you have. Number 8 is something that we encourage all federal employees to do as they're approaching that retirement window, and that is complete a certified summary of federal service. Now, this will naturally be part of any retirement application that you submit to the government, but why not go ahead and initiate that action now so that you are able to have a copy of the entire service history that you have through the eyes of OPM. That's what the certified summary does, to make sure that you have an account of what the government thinks your service has been, because that's what's going to end up in your pension calculation. All right, number 9, for those of you who have already submitted your retirement papers and you're looking to change up the date, you need to talk with your agency about what they want you to do to be able to make that happen. Some will ask you to simply cancel the retirement paperwork that you originally had and resubmit a brand new set. Others may be able to change that date behind the scenes. So make sure that you're talking with them and not making extra work for yourself or for them if you don't need to. I think it's safe to say that everybody is in information overload right now. And so anything we can do to streamline this, the better. Okay. And number 10, this is something that was just recently put out by OPM in the frequently asked questions. And that is that you should request written terms from your agency for this resignation. Okay. And I think that's coming from a call from employees who are saying, I don't trust the legitimacy of this offer. And so why would I take this if I think that everything's going to change on me and the rug gets pulled out from underneath us? Okay. And so I think that's a fair argument. This was all done in a bit of a chaotic way. And so anything we can do to help you feel better about the terms that you're agreeing with, that certainly can come directly from your agency. And I was really, really glad to see that come out in the FAQs to put everybody's mind at ease that there is legitimacy offered at the agency level for this particular offer. All right, so my plea to all federal employees is know your numbers. Many of you, even if you're not planning to take the offer, but you're kind of toiling with this idea, you're probably wondering, do I really have everything in order to be able to retire and live the retirement that I was hoping for? That question is solely up to you, but that is what we do here at ProFeds. We offer our Fed Impact Retirement Workshop to tens of thousands of federal employees throughout the country. Frankly, throughout the world. We have overseas locations as well. Of course, January 30th, we did a big webinar on the resignation offer, and that replay is available to you. So you can go to fedimpact.com/webinar and be able to see that replay if you happen to miss it. Now, fair warning, there are a couple of things that have changed since that video was put out. In good government fashion, there's some details that are starting to sift up to the surface. And one of those being that voluntary early retirements are now the agencies now have the authority to be able to offer those, and that changes the game a little bit, but you can certainly see your scenarios right there in the webinar. Okay. And remember, this is part of a series, so be sure to poke around to the other episodes within the series to see if there are other topics that are important to you for this as well. Now, for those workshops that we provide, if you are interested in coming to one of those workshops, I would highly encourage you to do so. You can certainly do this in your resignation period as well. Even though the decision would have been made for you to resign during that time, at least you're able to get all the other details brought together to make sure that things are in order. For all the folks who are new to this podcast, I would encourage you to be able to connect with us so that you're able to get direct information. So of course, subscribing to this podcast wherever you happen to listen to those is always a great way, but also to receive direct communication from us regarding training in your area and other benefits material that will be ideal for federal employees preparing for retirement. You can text the word podcast to the number 224-444-6144, and we will send that right away. Okay. And that way you'll be nice and connected to us and get direct communication regarding your benefits. No doubt there's an awful lot going on right now. And so I appreciate you hanging with us for a little bit today to get these top 10 questions to ask your agency's HR department. All right. We'll see you next episode.